It is Sunday and it's time for my weekly rotation video. This past week has been a little bit of a mixed bag in that some of my bottles that I wore are among my most worn perfumes of all time. So there was a mix of familiarity, and in that was also a few samples that I've had for quite a long time and been testing for quite a long time. And I actually drained 3 samples, which I'll talk about shortly. So let's get right into it. So back on Monday, seems so long ago now, my first scent of the day was the very appropriately named Epic by Amouage. This is Epic Woman. I haven't really tested Epic Man, but seriously, this is one of the best. Look, incense and rose are the main 2 stars of the show for me on this perfume, and it's like amongst already the best incense and the best rose perfumes that I've worn. I'm absolutely just having like a love affair with Epic Woman at the moment. The first sample that I drained this week was one from the house of Artiste. This one is called Anima Dolcis, and the thing about this perfume is I've been wearing this sporadically for over probably the last 3 or 4 years. So I first tried it back then got another sample. Initially, the idea of this perfume was, very interesting to me. Back when I liked gourmand perfumes a lot more, the idea of this kind of bitter dark cocoa mixed with a red chili note was interesting. And the problem with Artiste Anima Dolcis is that for me, when it goes on my skin, the concept of it is a lot better than the actual execution of it all. It doesn't culminate in what I want it to be, and it essentially becomes a messy, gummy vanilla in the dry down. And for me, I don't get that articulation of the cocoa and the chili. I really wanted to smell that, and I just don't with Anima Dolcis. So that one was a little bit of a disappointment. The following day was a bit of a standard day in terms of wearing my perfumes. The weather started to get quite chilly, and I wore a couple of favorites. One is one that I've loved for a long, long time, and one that I've loved for the last couple of years, actually. So Lagerfeld Classic. This, of course, is the modern version. The DNA is all there from the original as far as I'm concerned. People might find that it's probably not as strong as the original version from the late 70s, but it still smells like Lagerfeld Classic to me, and I love it. And I think Hannah, on the live stream I did with her recently, was talking about Habanita. I wore it earlier in the week as well, and this, I will reiterate, for me is a very specific seasonal perfume. Like, I honestly can only wear this in cold weather these days because it's so enveloping and powdery and fluffy, and there's a touch of sweetness and smokiness. There's a lot going on, and it's a thick perfume for me. But every time I do wear it, I love it, and I sort of can smell it on me the whole day. No problem at all. So I'm always aware that Habanita is on my skin. Wednesday started off with one of my all-time favorites, the beautiful 34 Boulevard Saint-Germain from Diptyque Perfumes. And then I wore Labdanum 18 from Le Labo. So I'm not going to talk too much about it there, because what I'll do is link to the review or the video I did actually a few days ago on this perfume. But that was another sample that I've emptied as well. And just on that, what this has allowed me to do now is put in my rotation now, I can bring in some new samples that I've been wanting to test properly. So like it feels like a good turnover week in that, like, I'm enjoying some of my old stuff, as well as now having an opportunity to smell and test new stuff, which means more reviews for you guys, if you're interested, of course. Thursday started with Heavy Rouge, Eau de Toilette. You all know how I feel about this one. The one sample I did enjoy this week, spoiler alert, was from Masque Milano. This was Lattesa from Masque Milano. To me, it is it's an iris perfume, which is surprising that I enjoyed it, because, you know, I'm very, very fussy when it comes to iris. I'm never going to say I don't like iris. It's just been really, really difficult for me to enjoy a lot of them when I'm wearing them. Lattesa was a surprise, because it was a slightly fresh iris. I got some sparkly, zesty notes in the beginning. I don't know if I really am smelling a champagne note like is listed on their notes list, but there is something sparkly and citrusy in the beginning, which is interesting for me in an iris-based perfume. So I really enjoyed it. The one thing I will say, if you guys haven't tried it, is some guys who prefer masculine-leaning perfumes may not feel comfortable wearing Lattesa, because to me, it's kind of sitting in the realm of feminine-leaning iris perfumes. But I enjoyed what I got out of it. So we come to Friday, and look, I'm unabashedly a fan of Vintage Azzaro pour Homme. I'm just going to enjoy this little mini I've got, and then once it's empty, I'm just going to put it out of my mind and not worry about trying to find a big bottle of it. You know, life's short. We don't have unlimited time, so I'm just going to enjoy this, be happy that I got to try it, and move on. My second perfume on Friday was from the house brand Celine. This one was called Reptile. Look, I think I mentioned this in the previous stream I did, that I like what I smell across a lot of what I've smelled from Celine. Reptile is on my skin quite a well-made, mossy, oily leather accord. It does remind me a little bit of the base of something like Bel Ami from Hermes. But the thing about Reptile, as good as that smells, it is on my skin just that. It's a little bit, you know, I use the word to describe unfinished or incomplete. I just felt like I was getting a part of just a part of the greatest sum of what that perfume could have been, because that accord is well done in Reptile. I have no complaints about how it smelled, but it didn't excite me enough. Not enough happened on my skin to warrant wanting any more, and especially not at the prices that Celine are selling their bottles for. Yesterday, I had a little bit, I don't know, it was probably a little bit of a vibe yesterday. Smoky tobacco, some dried fruits. So that started off with Fumerie Turque from Serge Lutens. It is my favorite honeyed style tobacco. I can actually smell tobacco in here, and all the sweetness is balanced so well that I never feel like this gets cloying or over sweet in my mind anyway. Yesterday evening I had a birthday dinner with friends, and I wore one of my all-times, 1740 by Histoire de Parfum. You know, like I think maybe is it a combination of people are just used to me wearing stuff in social situations. I never feel uncomfortable wearing 1740 in a situation like that. You know, I was in a house with about 6 or 7 other people there in one room, and I didn't feel self-conscious. I could smell it on myself, but I just thought I smelled good. Today, being Sunday, I've been wearing a perfume from Parlemois Perfumes. This one's called Woody Perfecto, and this is interesting because first of all, let me give you the positives. When I spray it onto my skin, I get a really nice kind of peppery, cedarish opening. It's a really well done, woody, sharp opening. So the woody part of its name lives up to it, maybe in the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then it kind of deteriorates and sort of falls apart when it starts to dry down and reach the base notes. To me, it kind of reminds me of of this thing where brands might be putting a lot of work into their opening. The average person, customer in a store might smell that on a blotter and really like it, bang, purchase, and then the rest of the formula falls apart. In this case, I think it happens. It has 3 officially listed notes, so obviously not the only ingredients that go into this perfume. Coffee as a top note, vetiver, and leather. Now, first of all, I smell no coffee whatsoever in Woody Perfecto, or at least no coffee that I recognize as coffee. If it's in the opening, they've got a very sharp, peppery, woody coffee bean that I can smell. In the dry down, I will admit that, I could understand how I could get leather and vetiver in the base of this perfume, but to me, it's more like I'm smelling pleather instead of leather, and the vetiver is just this kind of vague woodiness. Instead, I'm sure. Look, it does not smell at all like any actual vetiver oil that I've ever smelled, and I'll leave it at that. It just smells put together as cheaply as possible. And as you can tell, I'm not impressed by this perfume by Parlemois. I think the other one that I've tested extensively is Cedar Woodpecker, and I enjoyed that one a lot more, even though I thought that was kind of not that complex. But that smelled better. It held together a bit better on my skin. Woody Perfecto is far from perfecto. It's woody trash as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to end my week on a Sunday with something I know I love, I know is good. It's not going to let me down. It is Guerlain's Heritage EDT, and I hope everyone enjoyed my weekly rotation this week. I hope to see you all soon with a new video, and bye for now.